What's up everyone, Sean Count Blaggerth here today with an album review, this time of the 2014 Gorehouse Productions release of Stages of Decomposition and the album Piles of Rotting Flesh. If you're not familiar with Stages of Decomposition, they are a brutal death metal band hailing from California, and this is their debut full-length. I was not familiar with this band before I heard this. I was actually made aware by my good buddy Josh, Runner JMA. He made some posts about them. He did a review for them, and I was very interested in hearing this, and I got this in the mail. And I gotta say, this was well worth the hype that I heard leading up into getting this. What you get with this album is 9 tracks of straight up old school brutal death metal done in such an awesome way. If you're a fan of stuff like Devourment, you will definitely feel at home listening to this, but even if you're not really full on into the slam side of brutal death metal, you'll still find the old school death metal elements welcoming, and if you're not a fan of that, then you'll find the more modern approaches to death metal really refreshing, and it balances itself out. This is a perfect brutal death metal album if you're wanting something just belligerently heavy to put on, and something that will make you bang your head, because there are some awesome tracks on here. One of my absolute favorites on here, Devoured and Defecated by Swine, just some absolutely grotesque, brutal as hell music. And I mean, that's the one thing I gotta say about this album, is from beginning to end, you'll find yourself at a loss for words to describe it through any other means other than saying it's brutal as hell. This is like a sledgehammer pounding you in the face over and over again. The guitar, it sounds thick and full, and there's nothing that's undesirable about the guitar tone. It's everything you want in brutal death metal and nothing you don't. There's not a lot of middle end to it. There's not a lot of tinny, sort of plasticky sounds with the guitar. It's all very bottom end, lots of bass, lots of chunk, lots of balls to it. And that's something that I like to hear in my death metal guitar, is some guitar work with balls behind it. I absolutely love a nice, thick, heavy, just disgusting guitar tone. And that's what you get, but it also has to cut through during lead guitar and technical moments, what it does perfectly. It is so well executed with the tone and the playing techniques. You get the old school death metal sort of chunky riffs. You also get some more technical sounding riffs that will bring to mind a lot of modern brutal death metal. And a lot of people are not really into that style, and if they are, they're not a fan of the old school. This is something, as I said, that's balanced out a lot by differences in styles of death metal, and I gotta say, it works extremely well. Another great thing about the guitar work is the slams and the patterns that they're done in. They're done in such ways where it keeps it interesting instead of it being a boring, monotonous, typical sort of chunky slam constantly chugging. It has a lot more going on within it, and the patterns within each sort of chug is something that's really cool, and something that you don't really find in a lot of brutal death metal, and I love to hear that. Another great thing is the bass. Absolutely nauseating bass tone. Just great sound. It's the bass sound that I really want to hear on an album like this. I want to hear a thick, robust, fat sounding bass, and something that doesn't sound clanky. And I hate a clanky bass, and you don't get that on this album. So that's very good to hear. Everything's well played on the bass. It sounds like it deviates from the guitar a little bit, which is what it needs to do in order to stand out as an individual instrument. And I'm glad to hear that, but it also sticks with the guitar enough to give it that bottom end that it needs. Drum-wise, absolutely ridiculous performance. No complaints about the drum performance at all. Not one technique is overutilized, not one thing feels rehashed over and over again, which is something that I like to hear, because once again, I feel like either the old school style bands, they bastardize what I like to call the thrash beat of hi-hat, snare, or the modern ones just completely bastardize the blast beat and do nothing else. There's a lot of groove within here, and the drums are a big part of the grooviness of this album, and I absolutely love it. Vocal-wise, great vocals. Disgusting, low, brutal, guttural death metal vocals. Something that I've known and loved Gorehouse for putting out are bands with killer vocalists. That's one thing I gotta say, is I haven't heard a band on Gorehouse with just awful vocals. I'm very picky when it comes to it. And the gutturals sound absolutely disgusting, just nauseatingly low. And that's something I like to hear, but it's still understandable at points. You can grab the booklet and read along in the lyrics to it and follow it. It sounds good. Very good vocal range for what they're doing. Absolutely awesome. The mixing and mastering on this is just perfect. I have no complaints about it. This is something that every fan of brutal death metal needs in their collection. And for a score, I'm feeling a very strong 8.5 out of 10 on this. If you see this, definitely pick it up. Absolutely disgusting brutal death metal. I mean, just look at that artwork. Come on. Come on, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know you want it. This is just absolutely sick, though. I love the layout of the booklet with the lyrics placed on different pieces of paper. Highly recommend you purchase the CD. It sounds fantastic. Great artwork. You get the booklet and some more killer artwork. As I said, definitely pick this up. 8.5 out of 10. Links will be in the description to check this out. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, keep it metal.